Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, May 29, 2025. So we start off with Kristen and Rachel. So on yesterday's episode, Rachel is telling Kristen that, she hasn't been feeling well. And it wasn't physically, it was just what she's been harboring for a couple of weeks, months. And, she tells her mom that she saw Johnny point a gun at Uncle EJ. They were yelling and, she ran back up. So she doesn't know if Johnny was the one who actually shot him. But, she just wanted to, unleash that onto her mom and, just feel even though she did, she still feel awful because, she still is, that was a really rough night for her. So at the same time, she's also saying, and I'm saying Rachel just doesn't change because she's just like her mom. She's saying, oh, Uncle EJ deserved it. I was trying to protect Johnny. And, Kristen said, no matter what he may have done, I don't want him dead, right? So you can't wish that. That's how adults sometimes they argue, but you can't wish that on nobody, right? So, anyways, she calls Brady and informs him that, they need to talk and that she needs to bring Rachel to the hospital. It's not something physical, but she definitely needs, to talk to someone, right? So, anyways, they made their way over to the hospital to handle the situation, right? So, back to EJ. So, EJ was on the ground and Johnny was trying to, Johnny tried to help him at first, but then he walked away and left EJ there on the ground. So, Chad went in and helped him and he's like, what's going on? So, EJ didn't want to tell him at first, but then he finally budged and EJ told him that, okay, Johnny he fell and Johnny saw him. Johnny was about to help him, but then he changed his mind. But he understands that, he has to be blamed for it. He can't blame Johnny for that. And, he understands why he deserves that, right? So, anyways, Chad saying that you want me to talk to him again. And he said, like, I appreciate that, but it's best to leave it be. And, Chad understands where Johnny's coming from. So he can't really say that Johnny is in the wrong, but he definitely shouldn't consume that. It's not healthy for him or the family. So, anyways, EJ said that he's going to the board meeting and he's talking to Chad about attending the board meeting with him. And he said, yes, on one condition, I need to ask you some questions, not as a journalist, but as a brother. So he's asking EJ yet again if he has something to do with the Versifex drug being stolen. And he's like, no, you have little faith in me. I did not do that. I swear on our father's grave, I didn't do it. So, Chad has his reasons, because of who EJ is and all of that. So it's like better, EJ said, it's best that you just left me on the ground, right? If you're going to treat me this way like a pariah. But anyways, I didn't do it. And I also did not assault Philip Kiriakis. So anyways, he does ask Chad. He knows that he can't sway his vote, but at the same time, it would be helpful if he voted for him because even though they don't have the ownership of their company anymore, the family company, they can still own the hospital and start anew from there, right? So they have been divided, and because of that, Titan was able to just take ownership over their company. So they can't allow that to be the future of things, and their family needs to be together. So Chad is on board with that, and Chad said, you got my vote, right? So anyways, these two bulldogs, right? Julie and Maggie, and I'm saying I knew when I see the scene with the two of them, I knew that I was gonna dislike them even further. They just have to piss me off further more. Anyway, she comes in because they apparently hold votes on the board today. Today's the board meeting, and she's coming over there to talk to her about who she's gonna vote for because they talk about EJ and Xander and who's the lesser of the two evils. Is really not a win-win situation. So they are really concerned of where to go with, and she understands with Maggie because Xander is her son-in-law and all of that, but it's really hard to think about him running the hospital, no offense. So she's like, none taken. So Julie realizes that the picture of Victor is not up there above the mantle, and she's saying maybe well, Maggie said it was Xander, and she said, Xander did a favor with that because Constantine was the one who, orchestrated this portrait, and, he was an evil person, and, it's good riddance. But Maggie said that it's not because of Constantine, it's because of Xander's own, issues with his own father and all of that. So Julie's saying, what could possibly cause him to do that? Like, he entered into this inheritance, he's living off well, like, yes, Victor wasn't the father of the year, but like, why would he even do that? So anyways, Maggie said, I'm not even upset with that fact. I'm upset with how he has treated my family and Sarah. And I'm saying, if I have to hear this over and over again, like, my head is gonna just be loose, because I don't understand. Like, Sarah also contributed to this man's misery too. Like, it's not just Xander causing all this and all that. Like, Sarah did something awful to him. Like, he was doing really well, and Sarah had to lie to him on everything. Like, I'm not condoning what Xander did to Philip, right? It was overboard, but at the same time, Sarah is to be blamed for this, right? But anyways, they are there considering who they're gonna vote for and all of that, and yeah, just moving forward from them. So Brady is checking in with Kayla, asking her any change with his dad. So she said not much change. So he said that he spoke to Carrie, and Carrie talked about how, John held her hand. So she said, yes, even though that's promising, he still has a long way to go. He's still in critical condition. And, Brady's still optimistic that, things will work out. And, Kayla believes the same. So, anyways, he asked about Bo, if they got the drug to him and is it working. So she said that it has slowed down a lot of, I guess some of the problems that he's going through. It has helped with that, so they're just keeping their hopes up. And Brady's also keeping Bo in his prayers as well, right? So she asks him about the board meeting, and if he's how's he feeling about that. So Brady's still grappling with that, because he doesn't know where to go, if he's gonna vote for Xander, if he's gonna vote for EJ. He knows that Kristen has been badgering him to vote for EJ, but at the same time, he doesn't know where to go, because he was gonna just go with Xander since that's family. But at the same time, if Xander is accused of assaulting Philip, he doesn't really want to go that way. So he's kind of in a dilemma. So Kayla understands that too, because she was gonna go with Xander too, but then with all that thing with Philip, she just doesn't know where to really vote for, or who to really vote for. So Belle comes in to see Jada. She has some cases she want to work on, and she asked Jada if things are going to be awkward between them. So Jada said, no, we're adults, we can leave that at the door. I heard about your father, I'm praying for him. So she said, thanks, it's just been really rough, right? So I'm wondering if Belle knows about her Jada's playing with Sean, right? Because I'm just saying, it's kind of messy. Even though they are divorced, it's still kind of messy that Jada did that, knowing that she and Belle are kind of cool, but anyways, whatever with that. So anyway, she comes in and they talk about John, and she's praying for him, all of that. So she asks about Sean and his whereabouts, if she has seen him. So she says she hasn't seen him, and Jada tells her about how he said he was quote unquote sick, and then the day before she saw him talking with Steve and a random guy, right? So she just doesn't know if he's really sick. He's probably lying about it. So anyways, Belle is trying to be coy about it, but then she realized that Belle is hiding something. So she's like, Belle, tell me what you know. So she tells her briefly about what Sean was up to, that he's trying to retrieve a drug to bring to his father. So he's at the facility now. So she heard about the drug, and she's asking him if he was a part of the explosion. So she said yes, Sean was there, but he wasn't hurt, right? So anyways, they talk about the cases, and that she wants to nail the person who assaulted Phillips. She was trying to get her hands on the CCTV footage at this inn, but they're being very cagey. So she's asking the judge to just give her a warrant so she can look at it. Hopefully they can find who did that to Philip, right? So anyways, they're working on that. They need this case to be solved, because still they don't have anybody responsible for EJ shooting. So hopefully, that can be solved. So at the hospital, Maggie and Julie are there to attend the board meeting, and Kayla's there. So they're checking in with each other. They're still concerned about where to go, because they do not know who to vote for. And, Kayla's saying, hey, I have a suggestion with that. They both have been bullying us to vote for them. And, we shouldn't be able to take this, right? So we should vote anonymously, right? So Xander came in because at some point, Xander was at the pub and he was trying to get through to Sarah, leaving her a lot of voicemails. And he said, like, the next time I call you, it would be an attorney, right? So he calls Melinda trash. And I'm surprised Melinda even picked up his call because he threw her out like yesterday's garbage that tightened the mirror, right? So now he needs her because she is good at what she does and she does it underhandedly sometimes with these custody cases, so he needs her to represent him in regards to Victoria. So I don't know how this is gonna go, but Xander is definitely, he's behaving, I think the way how he's going, he's gonna behave very irrational when it comes down to all of this. So he comes there at the hospital and he asks Maggie, or asks them where Sarah is or if she's working. So Kayla says she's not at liberty to discuss that. And, Xander's like, I'm her husband, I need to know. So Maggie said that, Sarah doesn't want anything to do with you. And if you want to talk to her, you have to go through me. And he's like, I have all respect for you. I'm very fond of you. But, you need to stop meddling in me and Sarah's life. So she says she asks you to stay away from her. So that's what I'm enforcing, right? So anyways, everybody is just trying to stand up to him, be like some guard dog with Sarah and everything. So he's like, fine, I'll back down for now, right? At some point, EJ and Chad also arrive, and him and Xander go to a room for the meeting to take place, right? So we go to Kristen, Brady, and Rachel. So they're in a room, they're waiting for Sarah to examine her. So Rachel at some point goes somewhere, and Brady and Kristen get to talking. So Kristen tells Brady what Rachel told her about the whole Johnny situation, and Brady wants to go primarily to the police. So she said, no, we can't go there because at the same time, like, if we do that, she might go on stand, and we can't afford for Rachel to go on the stand. It's not going to look good for any of us because if CPS hears about it, they can take her away from us, and we don't want that to happen, right? So Brady's saying maybe we should go to Bell, and she's like, she's the DA, like, it's the bad decision to do. So anyways, Brady said that he has to attend the meeting, so they should discuss it as a family later on. He wants to hear exactly from Rachel, what did she see that night, right? So EJ comes back and he sees Belle and he's just checking in with her, how she doing, holding up with John. He said he was trying to go in to see John, but he knows he doesn't want to upset Marlena, right? So he's just telling her that he's praying for him and that he's a great man. He's always somebody he looked up to and respected. They never seen eye to eye, but he always respected him as a great father, great man. And, he wished that he could be half the man that John was, right? So anyways, Belle is hugging him and Brady comes over. Brady's like, that's really touching considering what your father's done to him all this time and what you have done. Like, if he was alive somewhere, if he was looking over in hell, like, he would definitely want the exposure to finish him off. So Bell is like, that's enough. And, EJ saying that, you're crossing the line. So, Brady saying you are crossing the line. Like, if you feel like you're going to be near my family, and if you feel like you're going to go near my father, like, I will personally destroy you and all that. So Bell is standing in the way and said, look, like, you need to stop. Enough is enough. So he said, you're siding with him against me. So she said, no, I'm not siding with nobody. Like, this is not the time, or we shouldn't waste energy in that. So it's like, yeah, we need to save our energy to be there for that. So anyways, he said that he has to go to the board meeting, and he just said, I take it you're gonna vote for Xander, right? So Xander comes back in, and Xander said, you're not swaying anybody to vote for you, EJ. So he said I wouldn't do that. So anyways, Kayla calls Brady over and says, look, like, we're waiting on you because the votes are anonymous, but at the same time, you are the deciding factor. Somebody has to vote for you are the one that's going to decide if Xander or EJ, gets the rights to the hospital, right? So it's on you. The pressure is on you, right? Of course, Brady's under pressure because he doesn't know who to vote for at this point. But, let's see what really happens, right? So while that is happening, Jada comes in and Jada says, Xander, you're under arrest for Philip Kiriakis' assault. So At this point, and EJ is looking out, smirking, like, okay, I got this in the bag. And Xander's looking at him, like, oh boy. And, everybody else is just gawking and looking like, it's definitely a big mess, but we're here for it. I want to see how this goes tomorrow. But yeah, the way how it's looking, maybe EJ is going to be the one that wins by default. Ready didn't vote yet, but let's see how this turns out, guys. Comment below your thoughts on who might really take this, who might really win, who not really win, but acquire the rights to the hospital. Let me know below. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.